Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of season 3 of our F122 driver career mode. We joined Mercedes, which was a bit of a curveball. If you missed the first episode, I suggest you go check that one out. It's a good one. It was a decent race, a good comeback for us. We didn't qualify too well, but we finished well, as you can see, in P3, which puts us P3 in the championship, of course, after a single race. So we're hoping for good things as we move on into Australia for the second round. And the weather forecast is looking a bit like we've got some rain coming. So having a look at the upgrades we've got an ultimate chassis upgrade on the way and a couple of others for the engine and some, I think it was durability. I completely missed it. But here's how we're looking going into Australia. We're currently the 4th best car. As I said, here's the weather forecast. 77% chance of rain at the start of the race. So it's going to be interesting. We need to try and set up the car for that weather whilst not compromising it too much in a dry quali. So let's see what we can do. I think we're just about getting to grips with the car. It's very tail happy, this car, so we're just trying to find the right balance. And here we go then for our first flying lap in Q1 at the Australian Grand Prix. What can we do with this car around this track? We're the last person to go. This is post the most recent update of the game, so you only get 3 sets of soft tyres for qualifying and a medium and hard as well, which is just weird. But we decided on this occasion to not bother going out and setting a time until quite late. So you can see in the top right corner, we've only got 3 minutes of the session left as we come up towards the line. What's it going to be? P10. Good enough to get us into Q2 as long as nobody else improves. A couple of them do, but nothing too major. P12, just behind Max Verstappen in the Williams, is a little concerning, but it is Max Verstappen, so we'll allow it. And we're losing Yuki Tsunoda, Joe Guan Yu, Lance Stroll, Nicholas Latifi and Robert Schwartzman from this session. Audi are struggling at the moment. They obviously had some financial difficulties, so their car isn't the best. They've inherited the Sauber team, so you'll notice that Alfa Romeo are no longer in the sport. To be fair, when Charles was at Alfa Romeo, their car was pretty good. They were up there he was regularly getting into Q3, so they've got a lot of work to do if they're going to get back to where he was and then continue from there. But into Q2 we go. We decided to bolt on the medium set of tyres that were available to us just to go out and set a banker lap. All that's good for really is P14 at this stage. Magnussen and the AlphaTauri is behind us. Then we go for the fresh set of softs and hopefully going to get ourselves into the top 10. So let's see what we can do. Already, after just a couple of corners, making improvements. 7/10 up as we come into Sector 3. 8/10 there, skirting with the track limits a little bit, but we got away with it. And as we head into the final section of the lap, nearly a second improvement. So hopefully we'll be good enough to get ourselves into Q3. Into the final couple of corners we go. 1.3 seconds the improvement so far. Up towards the line. Feeling pretty confident that it's going to be good enough to get us into Q3. And over the line we go. What's the position going to be? P8, which is indeed enough to get us into Q3. Pierre just behind us then in P9. And Charles Leclerc in that Red Bull topping the session with Lando just 2/10 behind. So Lando Norris showing incredible form. He obviously won last time out in Bahrain. And here's who we're losing at the end of Q2. Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Alex Albon, Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher. And here we go then, into Q3. Going out decently early this time on, I believe, a used set of soft tyres. So we're going to set a banker on a used set of softs first, which we have done, up into P4 provisionally. But we're way off. We are 1.1 seconds off the pace at the moment of Lando Norris. Obviously used versus new tyres. We've bolted on the new tyres for the end of the session. And let's see what we can do. Currently in P8. Looking to get ourselves as far up that grid as is possible in this car. 2/10 around about the improvement so far. There's a slow Red Bull just ahead. Who is that? Is that Charles Leclerc? Ooh, very, very close there from us. we could have avoided that a little bit more. Heading into the final sector though, 5/10 improvement so far. This could be, I'm not going to say we're going to be hunting for pole, but it could be up there in the first couple of rows. So 8/10 is the improvement now. 1.1 seconds, remember, was the gap to Norris. What can we do as we come up to the line? P5. P5 it is. That's not bad. Not first or second row, but we'll take it. Pierre Gasly down in P9. Lando Norris pole position then by 2.5 tenths. He's looking like he might dominate this one as well. So, yeah, stay tuned for that one. Carlos Sainz in P2. He obviously came P2 in Bahrain. So that driver pairing, obviously they're in separate teams, but very, very strong.
Hello and welcome from Melbourne, a track modified since we last raced here in Albert Park, and I think with the changes, it's going to be a classic. We're a stone's throw from the enormous Port Phillip Bay for today's race at the 3.28-mile Albert Park circuit. It's a bumpy racing surface here, and the 14 corners can prove especially difficult in the wet conditions. So watch out for a safety car at some point during this Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Ocon, Russell, Marshall, and Perez. Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Gasly, and Daniel Ricciardo. Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Alex Albon, and Magnussen. Mick Schumacher, Tsunoda, Guan Yu Zhou, and Lance Stroll. Latifi and Robert Schwartzman. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, how was that pull away? You'll have a bit more grip than that on the start, but we need to warm the tyres properly now. Make sure you get some heat into the brakes as well.
And as expected, it is pouring with rain. Everybody on the intermediate tyre for the start of this race. It's looking like it'll be raining for probably about the first 20 laps or so. So it's going to be an interesting one as we line up on the grid in P5. Decent qualifying.
Okay, good parking there, mate. Now we need to make sure we get a great launch as the race starts.
Much better than Bahrain.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid is formed. Be ready with the clutch.
We wait patiently. Sergio Perez behind us in the Red Bull. George Russell just ahead of us in that Renault. Lando Norris sits on pole as we wait for the 5 red lights to come on. And we are underway in Australia for round 2 of season 3. Decent start for Lando, of course, on pole. And a bit of a slow one for Carlos Sainz. Looks like he's losing position to... Is that the Red Bull? We got an illegal overtake there on Sainz as we went off the track. So we have to give that one back. No, that's Ocon who's got himself up into P2 with his teammate Lando Norris, almost ploughing ourselves into the back of Carlos Sainz, and that invites George Russell to come down the inside. Doesn't quite have enough pace to make it stick on this occasion though. So George Russell in P5 where we were. Charles Leclerc having a little ding-dong battle with Oscar Piastri in the other Renault, almost putting him in the wall there. And that was actually George Russell, and we nearly put him in the wall. Here's Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc coming out on top of that one, getting himself up into P6. And here we are. Here's George Russell trying to get past us. And he does so on the big, long straight. And he's up into P4. Carlos Sainz, half a second up the road. 1.5 seconds, sorry, up the road. So that front 3, the podium pack, running away at the moment. But fingers crossed, if we can get past George again, we should have the pace to catch them, I think. I'm feeling pretty confident about this, especially in these conditions. It's a bit of a leveler, and yeah, we just need to get past the Renault of George Russell, and we should be in with a chance, hopefully, of getting up there. But we'll see what happens as this race unfolds. It's early days. We set the fastest lap on lap 3. No DRS, of course, because it is raining. So it's going to be a tricky one. Bit of a moment there for us. We nearly lost the car on the way out of turn 1 and 2. On to lap 7. And we're still stuck behind George Russell. However,
this light rain is going to be with us for a while now.
you will notice that he is catching up to Carlos Sainz. So either Esteban Ocon or Sainz may have a bit of an issue here, because it looks like Lando Norris is pulling out a big gap. And look at this train that's forming onto lap 9. We've caught right up to the back of George Russell, and he in turn has caught right up to the back of Carlos Sainz and Esteban Ocon. So one of those is either not loving the rain or may potentially have an issue. So it may work out pretty well for us to get ourselves up onto the podium for a second race in a row, but we'll see what we can do. Onto the back straight, big moment as we head onto lap 10, and that's definitely going to invite Charles Leclerc to have a go at the end of this straight. We're deploying a bit of ERS. Watch for the inside. Here goes Charles Leclerc. He wasn't quite close enough to make the move there, but he gets a very, very good exit out of turns 1 and 2, and he's going to go for the move on the outside, down into turn 4, I think this is, and we squeeze him out. All fair racing, but yeah, Charles Leclerc doesn't get through on this occasion, but that's definitely cost us a bit of time. 1.1 seconds the gap now to George Russell. Thankfully, we've got plenty of ERS, but Charles Leclerc is very, very close, and he's got a very good exit onto the very long straight. So we're going to have to defend here, I think, if we're to not lose a place to the Red Bull. But we'll see what happens. He's going to pull out at some point. He's going for the inside. We're sort of in the middle of the track, sort of trying to decide whether we want to defend or not. Keep him behind into the chicane. But what will he do as we head out of the chicane? Nothing at the moment. We're going to deploy a bit of ERS to keep him behind. And hopefully we can catch up again to George Russell. We're just struggling to get past him. These conditions obviously giving everybody very similar pace. And we can catch him, but once we get there, it's very, very difficult for us to overtake. And here's Charles Leclerc then. And you can see, if you look carefully, that is not spray coming out the back of his car. That is smoke. Charles Leclerc is out of this race. That's unfortunate. He's given us a good little battle. However, it does open us up and leave us free to just chase after George without worrying about defending. We've got his teammate behind, but he's a good 5 seconds behind, so we haven't got to worry about that. Looking up the inside, what can we do? Over the curb, and we get through past George Russell. On lap 14, we're up into P4. Carlos Sainz is our next target. 1.5 seconds up the road. I think it might be Ocon who's the slow one, to be honest. Norris has pitted already. And now Ocon is into the pit lane. Sainz is staying out. What's George Russell going to do? He's also staying out. So the two McLarens have pitted decently early for a fresh set of inters. We're going to set the fastest lap. And I reckon we're just going to try and stay out to the dry, which is due to come at around lap 22, 23 sort of time by my calculations. So there's really no point pitting for a new set of tyres at this point. On lap 20 then, and you can see that Lando Norris on those fresh inters is closing in on us. Just the last lap, he was 7.5 seconds, down to 6.5. On to lap 23, you can see how much the track is drying at this point. He's only 2.5 seconds, so we're going to have to make a decision here. Do we go again, or are we coming in? We're going to stay out on this one. We're going to have to come in at some point for those dry tyres. The big brain play, I would say, is to wait for the stewards to enable DRS, and then as soon as they do so, get into the pit lane, fit those dry tyres. Lando Norris then is going to stay on the inters. I thought he'd come in at this point, to be honest, because we've got a fair few laps, but he's not. He's staying out on the intermediates, which probably means he's going to try and go to the end on those tyres. Soft tyres for us, soft tyres for Ocon as well, although his will be a little bit older. Here's George Russell. He's gone back past us, and that's going to put us down into P4. Yeah, P4. Bit of a messy exit. Nice cold tyres. However, if we can get them up to temperature, we will be quicker. Ocon is flying on those soft tyres, so get them up to temp and we should be able to get ourselves onto the podium, which is about where we were going to be anyway. So nothing really lost by staying out. Nothing really gained either, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see what we can do as we go into the penultimate set of corners. Not quite close enough to get past George on this occasion, but we'll definitely be having a go down into the straight. Coming around the corner then, the final corner of the lap. Nice, decent exit. Deploying a bit of ERS, DRS open. And we are going to go round the outside of George Russell in the Renault. Our old car, used to be an Alpine. And up we go into the podium paying positions. Unfortunately, we're just not going to. We're going much quicker than Carlos Sainz, but we're not going to have enough time to catch up with him. Look at the gap coming down, though. Just the next lap, we've taken nearly 3 seconds out of him. And just haven't got enough laps to do it. But here comes Lando Norris then to win for the second time in 2 races of Season 3. So he's going to be comfortably leading the championship from Carlos Sainz. And we're going to come across the line for P3.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a great finish. Well done.
A beautiful performance from McLaren today. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we could talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those that we've witnessed today.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving that they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
Well then, another dominant performance from Lando Norris in the McLaren to claim his second victory in 2 races. He's leading the championship now comfortably from Carlos Sainz. And, well, we got ourselves on the podium, so a very, very good race for us. We started in P5. Probably if we'd have been... I don't know, I feel like if maybe we'd have stayed out on the Inters, we may have been able to keep Lando behind us. But he was gaining at such a rate that we would have had to really work hard for that. But it is what it is. We still got on the podium. Some very, very good points. 15 points for us. Pierre Gasly got himself up from P9 into P6. So overall, a decent weekend for the Mercedes team. Charles Leclerc in the Red Bull, he's had better weekends, finds himself DNFing with an engine failure. Lance Stroll, of course, as well, DNF'd at the end of that. I think we missed that one. So here's what the championship looks like. 50 points for Lando Norris out in front, Carlos Sainz in second, and ourselves in third. And in the Constructors, McLaren are, well, they're running away at the moment. So if they can keep this run of form, they'll be looking good to mount a title fight. But we'll see what happens as we head into the 3rd round. We're off to Miami for that one. And it should be a good one. So join us for that. If you like this video, leave us a little like. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you for the Miami Grand Prix. See ya.